I am live. Where is that black thing? Oh, oh, it's the chair. Hola, hola. I think when I'm sitting out here, I always look kind of weird, kind of rough. I look better on Facebook than I do on YouTube. But that's okay. You guys know what I look like. So this is it, unfiltered. Buenas tardes. Buenas tardes. Uh, uh, I am on the patio and I hope I'll be able to stay here, that it's not going to be blazing hot. I got my fan. How are we doing? Hola, everybody. Welcome to the live. Yes, yes, yes. Yep, I'm wearing my poof, so somebody's going to make a comment about my poof. But it is the easiest thing for me. Julia, hola. Bienvenida. Saturdays are like crazy for me because I have the my two Spanish classes, and then you prepare in the beginning and you prepare for the second, and then when you finish, you have to clean your notes and then send them back, and takes a little work, but it's not bad. I feel like a little mild headache because last night I didn't sleep very well. I discovered a new brand of coffee that tastes really good. That's one thing. Oh, Julia. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, sometimes it's not easy because you have. Uh, Hi, Deborah. Thank you. So, where are you, Deborah? Oh, Deborah Allen. You're in Oklahoma, right? But anyway, so I found this new brand of coffee, and let me tell you, the coffee here in Panama is exquisite. We have really, really good coffee. And when I was in the States, when I had my cafe, you heard about Colombian coffee, and then having a coffee place was popular at the time because that's where people hang out. And you go there and you can play free Wi-Fi, right? You can work, and people were opening coffee shops as a business, but I didn't think of myself as being a connoisseur. I mean, I like coffee, but then we started having coffee from Africa, from Ethiopia and other places, and I don't think I ever became a fan. I didn't see any difference, but Colombian coffee, is very popular over there. But at my cafe, I experimented, Bustelo and other places. Somebody had plain Colombian coffee. And then I decided to settle on a coffee brand called Coffee AM. It was so good, but I had to order it and it had to be shipped to the cafe. And I love that coffee. People loved it. But here in Panama, it doesn't matter what brand of coffee you have, it's really good. The difference is some of the coffee brands are strong. The caffeine content will put, like they say, hair on your chest. Like when I was growing up, my grandmother we used to grind the coffee, dry it, and we didn't have machines when I was growing up. So it was mostly, we had a big what we call pilon, which was the wooded thing, deep, and you put the coffee in there, and you had you see them, in Africa do that. You used to do that, and then so when they made coffee at my house, it was strong, like espresso. So my grandma used to do the coffee for her because she drank it all day, and then she would run more water on, and we had a dripper that was made of cloth. I remember that to this day. And she would give us a second watered down version, which was good. Hola, Auntie. So I'm used to coffee. I grew up drinking coffee even as a child, but I'm not, I'm not like 3, 4, 5 cups a day. And coffee has gone through its thing where they're like, oh, it's bad for you. To now, it's okay. 1 cup of coffee a day is good, maybe more than one. But if I drink it, it's only one a day, usually one a day. But I try to drink it earlier enough because sometimes, depending on the brand, that it keeps me up. It's like midnight and I feel like I could just get started. It's like, ooh. But some mornings I wake up and I'm dragging, and that's what I need, a cup of coffee. So when they say you want to pick me up, exactly that. So this sister was here for 6 months and then she decided to return back home to the US. And she said, oh, I'm going to come over. And she brought a few things. And then I would open a bag or something and find all kinds of things that she didn't finish using. Like she had a thing of maple syrup. And I know how expensive and rare that is. So I was, excited to get some of that. But one of her gifts to me was half a bag of this coffee brand that I had not tried yet. So I did buy like a 5 cup coffee maker, which I got so not tired, but just lazy. I'm like, that's too much work. You got to measure, you got to put it in the thing in the filter. Then you have to wash the filter. I'm like, I'm going back to instant. Because even the instant, Antoinette, how are you? We're going to talk about living in Panama, pretty much choosing your neighborhood. That's what we're going to talk about today. Uh, so for the last 2 days, I've used part of hurdle coffee, which is really good because if I put it milk in my coffee and a little bit of brown sugar, I cannot do it black. I drink black tea. I'm okay with black tea, but I can't do black coffee. I don't know why, but I'll keep working on it. And so it was like, I'm always on my phone in bed. I know it's a bad habit. I'm kind of into those little Asian dramas because I don't watch TV and I like to finish watching some of I'm watching. So I got up, went to the bathroom, and I look at the phone. It was like 4:30 in the morning. I was still up. I go to bed and then I'm not falling asleep. So I get up again, put my glasses on, went back to the phone. So I must have fallen asleep like around 5 a.m. this morning. So when I woke up at 9:10, I was grateful because I was like, if I didn't get at least 4 hours, I would be a mess. But like right now, I feel kind of, hi, Julie. I feel kind of sleepy, but you guys are going to keep me up. So I hope everybody's okay. Antoinette, welcome. Deborah, it's good to see you. Julie, Auntie. Uh, yes. But anyway, life in Panama is still good. As I keep telling you guys, I have not had one day in my 3 years here where I woke up and said, oh my God, what have I done? Oh, I miss it back there. No, no, I cannot tell a lie. I don't miss anything about what I left. My family, all my family is there. But remember my story of connection with Panama, that I came to see the canal. I was sitting in a boat, and the sense of well-being and connection came on me, and I was like, I like this place. I like how I feel when I'm here. And I have heard, please hit the like button, ladies and gents, please. I have heard other people say the same thing, that they have this sense of well-being, sense of peace, and a lot of us are feeling that, and this is great. But there are logistics to moving abroad. There is a young sister, she's younger, probably in her 40s, who has been experiencing Thailand, which is where she wants to move. So you have choices as to where you go. And I was talking to my brother, who is my baby brother, this past week, and he was talking about the same thing about moving abroad. But he's looking at Vietnam or Thailand. Some people I don't think anybody talks about Indonesia, but there is a lady named, uh, oh God, I forgot her first name. I know, Auntie, I know. So when I go home, I remember when I moved from New York to Florida, I used to miss New York terribly until I went back during a winter and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I left, the snow, the cold. Nope. I went back and I said, I'm good. So when I connected to Panama and when I decided to retire, because I was just visiting, remember, I wasn't choosing for a home. And then when some other places didn't work out, then I came back to Panama, and it was like I still like it. And I remember I made 3 or 4 trips back, just doing more exploring. So I did not know they were called scouting trips. I just came, I like it here, and I wanted to see more of the country. So I'd go in the countryside, or I'll go to beaches, and I stayed in Airbnbs, extended. So I did my due diligence. And I think one of the videos that I recently made was why I feel like some of the groundwork I had done uh, made my transition that much easier, right? Because as I said, also, I am a left brain, I'm very logical. So I do my homework, I get the data, I get the facts, and I am objective enough to not let emotions only, right, rule in my decision making. So if I did not speak Spanish, that would have been okay. Is it something that is a deal breaker, or can I make do, or can I learn? That would have been that. Some people talk about closeness to the US. That was not a factor for me. I did not look at that. That doesn't mean I shouldn't have. But right now, I'm saying I don't think I would consider Thailand or a place like that, because to me that's just way too far. And at my age, I am not looking forward to 30, 35 hour plane rides. I am not. In fact, there is a sister who had returned from a long trip recently and ended up with like a small pulmonary embolus, which is a blood clot in her lungs. Because on those flights, I always tell people you need to get up. Sometimes you see people standing in the aisle on a transatlantic flight. That's because you want to restore circulation to your legs, and you'd have to wear your compression stockings, when you go on those long trips. And in addition, it's like getting up and moving your legs, because you don't want the pooling of the blood to cause, hola Greta, to cause a little, even if it's a small one. A big one can be deadly because it might block something in the lungs and keep oxygen from going. But if it's a small one, it can happen because of that. So I I did all the scouting trips. Distance was not a concern for me at the time. The the feeling, the connection was important to me, and that was Panama was check. Um, the warmth, right? The temperature, the tropical temperature was important to me. Antoinette, yes, hi. So that was another check. The vegetation, that tropical look, everything being green and lush, that's important to me. The sun, I need to see the sun. So it was check. And cost of living, of course, something that could work within my budget. And based on my research, yes, check. The other thing that was important is access to healthcare that is affordable and kind of somewhat on par. I wasn't looking for the bells and whistles. I wasn't looking for a place that had state of the art. I wasn't looking at that. I just wanted to be sure, if I don't have insurance, can I pay to go see a doctor and not having to wait 3, 4, 6 months to go see a doctor. In Panama, check that, check. And in addition, when you talk to people who've been here, they'll tell you the quality of the doctors is so much better than what we are used to, because as certain people a certain shade, what we go through, and we go to some doctors on the other side. But that does not seem to be a factor here. In fact, physicians take time to talk to you. They take time to get your history, because we know how important that is. And they're not so big on just writing prescription, prescription, prescription. We give you a prescription, you get a headache, here's another prescription to treat the headache. The headaches give you diarrhea, here's another prescription. So before you know it, you have a bag full of different bottles, and that is called polypharmacy. And that is one of the reasons old people get into all kinds of trouble. They're falling, they're confused, they're dehydrated. Yes. And a lot of time in the system over there is not one doctor looking at everything. He refers you to the cardiologist, but he doesn't know what cardiologist is doing, even though they send him some notes, but they're not really coordinating and looking at the whole picture. And that is one of the travesties of the American healthcare system. It's too fragmented. I remember years ago there was so much debate about electronic records that would be seamless and available to everybody. So if a doctor were to sign into a system and look at Maggie, they should be able to see every other doctors I've seen and all the medications that I've taken. That's the way it's supposed to work, but it doesn't. So who gets victimized? We do, because we bear the brunt of the fragmentation of the system. So Panama checked all those boxes for me. And when I think of negative or unstable political situation, I don't think it was in the top three, but that was important. Of course, you're not looking to go to a place where there is a lot of, uncertainty. So all these things check for me. So when you do the work, you get the information, you talk to people, you come around, and you do, hola, head out, and you do your due diligence. I had a notebook, and it's like notes, notes, notes. You get on those Facebook groups. You don't have to ask a question, just read the comments. You can learn so much from doing that. So I feel that having done all that homework, helicopter, having done the homework and come on the scouting strips, I feel like I've covered most of the bases. And that's why there hasn't been something that all of a sudden I would say, oh my God, I never heard of that. I don't have a lot of those. And every day I wake up with gratitude to be here, because I could be there, right? So I think all those factors have made it easier for me to transition, and that after 3 years, I can say, I still love Panama. I still love being here. I don't have any regrets. And I hope I can stay here till I die. But does that mean I know for sure I'm going to be here till I die? I don't know. I could die tomorrow. I could die in the next minute. Or I could die in 10, 20 years. No guarantees, sis. And this is another thing when you are trying to make a decision as to where to go. You do your homework, you're logical. You don't try to say, oh, I know it looks like this, but I think I can work with this. This is where the logical thinking comes through. If you thought, William, hola, if you thought something was a certain way, and then when you do research, you say that it's not, you cannot just ignore it and say, oh, I think somebody's making that up. Because that happens to me with some people who consult, right? They would ask something and you say, I don't believe you should consider this and that. And then the attitude is almost like, well, you just don't want us to experience this and that. And I'm like, you know what? All I can give you is information. What you do with it is on you, sis. None of my business, not my problem. So if you're going to consult with people, you have to be able to be open to the information that they give you. Now, what you do with the information is totally up to you. All right. So I am grateful to those of you who are here, still interested in Panama. I have to say the demographics of the expat community here has changed drastically. Yep, don't forget to hit the like button, please, and comment, like, subscribe. Um, we have a lot more couples that I see in Panama, and a lot of younger people or families. Like there's I don't know their names, but there is a young family with children, and I think they were here for a month, and then they were saying, "We're struggling. This is hard," and I'm like, "It's only a month. Give yourself time. You haven't seen anything in a month. You're just in a whirlwind." The other thing to keep in mind is the honeymoon phase. Yes, the honeymoon phase is where you just, hola, Maria. It's like everything is new, right? And especially coming from where you're coming from with all the stress and the concern and the anxiety. So when you come here and you hit that airport, Tokumen Airport, people will tell you that. They walk off that plane and then all of a sudden they feel that release of the stress they've been carrying around for decades, leaving them. This is something tangible that a lot of people would say. All right. So you're like, oh my God, I'm so happy to be here. I can't believe this. I can't believe that. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Yes, sis, you are. But that bubble can burst in about 3 months, 6 months, even up to a year, where you start dealing with the reality of daily living. Hola, Dorisa, of daily living in Panama. And it doesn't matter where you move to, visiting is different from living. And I heard this. There's a young, she's younger than I, woman from Kenya. She is doing the relocation. Uh, I forgot what they call what she calls herself, but she's doing really great, and she's also talking about it. You know, she calls about. I don't think she calls it scouting trip, just to come to see, right? And she offers a concierge service where they take care of everything. And apparently her rates are a little pricey. I don't know. Here we have relocation specialists, relocation tours. And this is where they take you to different spots in the country. And then I know this, ooh, excuse me, this one group, they bring people to come to the uh, tours, the people taking the tours, doctors, real estate, legal, and all that. So I say those relocation tours are good for people who want concise information in a short amount of time. 7 days, 6 days, that's a lot of information. And I would think at the end of the day, when you finish, your head will be spinning, right? Because you're taking, to me, that would be a bit too rushed and too much information crammed into. I don't think I would do well with that. That's why you have to know thyself, right? Know how you process information. I can process a lot of information, but I still need time to process and not over process, because then it kicks your anxiety in. And so know thyself. The other time I think those tools are important is if you're like an older woman. Let's say you're in your late 70s going on 80s. You really don't have time nor the bandwidth to do all that research. And you may also say, I don't have enough money to be doing 3, 4, scouting trips. I get it. And I know I have one video where I say you may not need a scouting trip if, and there are the reasons why you may not want to consider that, because a lot of it is financial, okay? Some of it is safety. Some of it is mental health, that you need a quick exit, and we get it. So, having said that, I am setting the table for you, ladies and gentlemen, to understand that moving to a new country takes faith, right? That you're leaving what you know, the familiar, to go to a brand new country. And even if you've been to that country several times, As I said, once you shed that tourist, cape, and you put on the local, a resident, it's a whole different ballgame because now you're paying bills, you're dealing with people, and you got to converse. You got to deal with the money issues. You got to deal with banking, how you're going to pay your bills. And there are so many groups here that offer all that information. And some of them are really well connected. They have subgroups for everything under the sun. We're not that big. We don't have that. Nor do I want to have so many hands in the pots and things to keep up with. I have enough on my plate. So, doing your homework and being logical and being able to say, well, you know what? I've heard people say to me after watching a live or something, they'll say, oh, well, I guess Panama, I've taken Panama off my list. And I'm like, it's a good decision, sis, because now you have data, you have information that will or has helped you to come to that decision, because there are so many places in the world where you can go. Another thing that was a must for me, it was like I didn't want to go anywhere it was cold. I did not want to feel cold and sitting there and shivering and putting 10 layers on. Mm-mm. I don't mind a nice jacket. When I was in Peru, you could wear a nice leather jacket, and they even had leather boots and what do they call the llama fur, and I'm okay with that. But to be able to freezing my in minus so many degrees, I did not want that. I still do not want that. These old bones do not handle cold very well. Okay. Oh, I think I see. Don't go anything flying into my house. Okay. So, for the reason that we are here, don't forget to hit the like buttons, please. Thumbs up. One of the best, hola, I see blessings. Welcome to the live. One of the biggest decisions you're going to make as an expat, some people get triggered by that word. Well, you call yourself expat, you're immigrant. Once you decide to live in a foreign country, yes. So I always now say expat slash immigrant, keeping the peace. I don't have to get anybody upset. I've been watching your videos for a while. Please link the video. You may not need a starting trip to this video. Oh, okay. Okay. I was trying to see where I could do it. Okay, let me put it in the chat for me to remember. Please share link to video. You may not need a scouting trip if. And I think also Adelia Abroad-SWRA has also a video about that. Because, there are situations that are unique, that a lot of it is financial, as I said. Yes, ma'am. It was like, nope, I don't want to be cold. All right. So, as I said, one of the biggest or most important decisions you're going to make, has climate change affected Panama? Yeah, because right now we are in rainy season and it's been raining. No, we are in dry season, which is December through May, and it's been raining almost every day, which is unseasonably, this is not the way it's supposed to be. So the expected climate is not what we are seeing this year. One year it was so dry, even the canal had concern because we could not take all these heavy ships through the canal because the water level was so low. That was, I think, 2 or 3 years ago. But now it's like the heavens open, you forget your umbrella because you're like, it's dry season. Yeah, yeah. So, and then with climate change, when we have rain, sometimes it rains so hard, it causes mudslides and the soil become unstable. The rivers overflow. We got floods. So, just what you see in the general, atmosphere, the weather elements are stronger and harsher, and that's the direct result of climate change. But some people don't believe in that, so you got to watch where you where you mention climate change. So finding a place to stay has to be one of the biggest decisions you're going to make after you land here. Now, a lot of the work that you do before, that's a lot of work. Your visa, some people have had so many turn and run around for their background checks, for their fingerprints. Timing could be an issue. Those of you coming with pets, God bless you. That's another layer of things we're responsible for, so I applaud you. All right? But finding your place to stay is so important. And what is that based on? How do you decide where to stay? Well, some people tell you point blank, Panama City is just too busy for them. If they come from a small rural town in the US, and then you're going to put them in the middle of the city with high rises, their anxiety, goes up. And they said no. So it's a good exercise to say this is a must have, this is a deal breaker for me. I cannot be in the city. The beauty about Panama is that you have choices. It's not like a mountainous country. You have mountains, you have the beach, and you have the city. So you get to pick and choose. So when you come into Panama with that mandate, so you already know you're going to bypass the city. So you're going to be looking in the interior or places outside of the city. So make sure you have your must have. Some people would say, oh, I'm a city girl, I have to have the city. Check, put it down. What else is important to you? Some people would say walkability. I want to be able to walk out of my house, out of my building, and go and do whatever I need to do. That was important to me. So check. So either you're working with yourself or with a realtor, be true to yourself about what's important to you. Another thing that might be important to you would be close to medical services, doctors, hospitals. And this is something I tell the ladies who are running away from the city and want to experience, oh, freshness, the beach. Yes. But how old are you? How is your health? And how important it is to you to be close to a hospital, a doctor, or a clinic. Not every community has access to that. Some of them you have to drive 30, 40 minutes to get to. Like Boquete, if you want to be in a major hospital, you have to drive 45 minutes to an hour. Well, a lot can happen in that time. If you're driving, someone's driving you, anything can happen en route. So you have to make your choice, knowing what you are risking, right? If you say, oh, I know there is no hospital close to where I live, but I have to have the beach. So I'm saying, okay, sis, I got nothing to say to you. It's not a criticism. I don't have to have an opinion. That is you, that is your life, your decision. So when and if something happens to you and you realize, oh my God, I don't have access to a hospital, or like one sister said to me, she was in an area, she said, I like quiet, but that was way too quiet. Gotta know. Someone like me, I said before, oh, I do not want to be in a place where I have to push an I'm in the city, that I have to push an elevator button to get to my place. I said I would never do that. Never say never. Because that wasn't the three most important things to me. They were important, but in order of importance, you got to scale them, right? So location, 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 support, access, walkability. Can you just get out of your place and just walk somewhere? Not every place can you do that. And another thing too is, oh, they're noisy today. Another thing is, can I have access to like a pharmacy, food stores, um, farmers market type of fresh, like eggs and fruits and vegetables? If you're into that, you got to think about that. If you live in the interior, chances are you have access to all that because most places are connected to a farm or a delivery or someplace like that where they bring it to your home. So that's important to you. Look into it. Another factor to consider when looking at place is if you're one of those sisters who doesn't cook, doesn't want to learn how to cook, doesn't care to cook because you're retired. You feel entitled for somebody to cook for you. So do you want access to restaurant? Even though this cook here will tell you it is best to eat at home. So you need to learn to cook something that is pleasant and edible in your kitchen because it's safer. You know what goes into it and you did it. If that's not important to you, it's on you, sis, but that's what I recommend. So you want to have access to a food store, right? Are there farmers markets? Do you, stumble upon like somebody in a truck, open the back of the truck and it is full of aguacate, watermelons, and so you can just grab. If that's important to you, you need to know where you need to retire to. I remember when I was looking at my first apartment, I was looking at a 6-month lease, and most owners do not want to consider a 6-month lease. They will if they have a property that has not been rented, that the market has slowed down, that the inventory is high, therefore her place has not been rented. They might relent. But like right now, with the number of expats they have coming in, they don't have to put up with that. They don't have to say, oh, yeah, we're going to, and look at those factors. So when I was seeing this one building, this one apartment, it was like kind of in a busy area of the city. And I was like, well, that's not too bad. I come from a suburb where my home is. And I come from a gated community where once I pull up to the gate, you got your little thing on your window that you just scan the light and you go through. And then you feel secure because you're behind the gates and you know that nobody's going to be able to just sneak in. But I asked this young lady at the pool and I said, do you live here? She said, yes. I said, what do you like about it? Which is what you're supposed to do. You either ask the people living there or people who know of the place. Because let me tell you, it's difficult to ask a local about their neighborhood. Because if that is their home, their ancestral home that got passed down from mom and dad and to generation, and they'll say, well, I've always lived here. That's all I know. But when you say, what do you like about it? They might say, well, I like that there's a dog park close. I can go with my dog. I like the fact that, things are close, whatever, right? So when I asked her, she was around the pool area, and I said, "Okay, hi. Tell me what you like about this place." She's like, "Well, it's clean. The staff is nice." And I say, "Is there anything you don't like about it?" She's like, "It's pretty noisy." Well, I don't know whether I was expecting that or not, or whether that mattered to me or didn't. But boy, oh boy, was she right. That place was noisy. So I was like, oh, it's a good thing it's a 6-month lease because there is no way I would stay here. The amount of honking from the cabs was really disturbing to me. Some people after a while you tune them out. I couldn't tune them out. So right now it will be very, very difficult for you to get a 6-month lease because the owners do not want to wait. They don't want their property to sit around. So they want people who are ready to sign right away. So if you have your list and you have 8 properties that you want to see, Or by the time you get to C8, the first two that you like are already rented out. Okay? So understand that. So they don't want to do 6 month leases anymore because I mean, if I were a homeowner, I wouldn't want that either because after 6 months, then you're gonna have to pay more money to advertise it again for a new tenant. Whereas at the out, for the annual, then you have time. You have time, and the owner is getting their rent. Okay, so what else is important to you? Level of noise, accessibility, friendliness of the staff. Then you need to look at, I do have the um, apartment checklist document that you can download if you want. It tells you all the things to look at, right? So you don't get blindsided. And then, the review of the lease is also important. But today I wanted to talk about the different neighborhoods. Any questions so far? The different neighborhoods that expats frequent or they live. Um, Walkability, medical services, metro, yes, because not every community has access to the metro in Panama City. Can you close your windows to drown out the noise in your apartment building? Yes, in this one I can. Now I'm on the patio, so you may hear something. But unless somebody is riding a hot rod, which they do like around on Thursday night, we can't get away from that. And then living in the city, this is the thing. You're not going to find everything to be perfect every day. So that's why you have to pick and choose what's most important to you. For example, in my building, I like the fact that it's central. I like the fact that I have access to multiple buses. I like the fact that I have access to the metro, 2 blocks this way. I can catch the metro. I like the fact that I have 3 or 4 hospitals within walking distance from me. I like the fact that I have access to fresh fish. The fish market is there. There is a farmer's market there. So you go A, B, C, D, and you go check, 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 check. Do not have your head in the cloud. So the noisy place that I stayed at, it was really bad. Okay, so my tolerance was okay. I can tolerate some noise. So if I'm indoors, like I said, when my windows are closed, I don't hear a lot, unless it's like there's a party going and the music is playing, and after a while you tune it out yourself. The first year, you're like, oh my God, oh my God. After that, you're like, oh, okay, because it becomes part of life. It doesn't matter to you anymore. So that's why when someone comes to me and they're like, oh, I have to have trees, or they say, I want a small house in the woods, and that's your choice, right? But there are some amenities you're missing out on. And of course, a lot of it is budget related, right? So, how much money can you afford? And there is no shame in the game to say, this is my budget, this is what I can afford. Sis, this is reality. No one is going to judge you for where you choose to live because you're grown, you make your own decisions. And I'm like, Godspeed, sis, you do you, okay? Will I be able to see black mold? Where should I look? Closet, ceiling, all of the above. I really want to avoid that. Well, when it is the rainy season, that's when the mold is at its highest, right? What we tell people, what I do, is that you make sure you have ventilation in your apartment, whether it's AC, whether it's ceiling fan, whether it's stand-up fan, right? Because what you don't want is the humidity that grows mold. Some people say they can find them on their clothes in the closet. Some people can find them in the ceiling, in the bathroom. Some people see them, they could be, if it's bad enough, you'll see it on your furniture and stuff. But if you are proactive, meaning You're always looking. The other day I was in the shower and I have a door and I thought I saw some white stuff on the door. So I jumped into action, made myself some kind of a bleach solution, and I went into the closet. I'm looking over my shoes. One day, 2 years ago, I remember I have some black, is it leather? I don't know. Leather doesn't do well in the heat anyway. And then I thought I saw some little patches on my shoes. So I cleaned my shoes and then sprang into action. I bought a dehumidifier. I bought a moisture reducer that you can hang in the closet next to your clothes. And then I made sure that the AC and the air conditioner are always going. Now, when it is nice here, if it's not, oppressively hot with the or humid, if we have a breeze, I'm close to the ocean, so sometimes there's a breeze. I open my window, but I heard a sister say she had asthma, and they did find mold in her apartment, and they told her not to open the windows because things can come in. Well, personally, I'm from Florida. I like fresh air. That would be a problem for me to say I keep my all my windows closed all the time. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. So I have a dehumidifier. I have the what do you call that? Damp rig that you can put in your closet, and you run the fan, you run the AC. When people run in trouble in the apartments with mold is when they go off. They go on vacation and they don't have someone airing the apartment. You need someone to come and run the AC, run the fan, right? And make sure that they are looking. This sister, I think she said she had just come to Panama. She didn't know much about the mold. And I think she was on vacation for like a month or two, but she did not ask another sister to, come and check on the apartment. And when she came back, whoo, so that now you don't want to be around the stuff because if you breathe it, you can get sick. So she had to have a company come, test it, clean it, test it again. Then they had to come back and do some more cleaning, and that costs you money. And most apartment owners will not cover that. All right. So, but in the dry season, if we had a dry season, it's not so much an issue because it's the humidity, remember. But now that we have all this rain and stuff, so I have to be alert, right? And run my dehumidifier. And the dehumidifiers can come in unit you can put on the ground. Mine is like a tabletop this big. I forgot how much I paid for. It wasn't that expensive. And then the damp rig. And I'll tell you, this little dehumidifier has a canister at the height of rainy season. The canister like this much filled up in 2 days. So there's a lot of moisture in the air that can feed that mold. All right? So be on alert. And I tell people an ounce of prevention will keep you safe, you don't get sick, and save you some money. And if you're in the mountains where it rains a lot, like in Boquete, you better be on your P's and Q's and watch. Because in those higher elevation, it rains like every day. They have a mist in the afternoon. And that's why it's so nice and lush, right? The iguanas like it, the plants like it. Well, the mold like it too. So be alert. All right? In the apartment building, can you hear your neighbors? I mean, once in a while, you know what? I'm on the 30th floor, and there was a time where I heard a lot of dropping. Like somebody, like kids were running around, or there was people dropping things. I tolerated it for a little bit, and then I went downstairs, and I'm like, I don't know who's up there, but you need to talk to them. That noise is disturbing. And then they said, "Oh, we're so sorry. They were trying to renovate the apartment." I'm saying, I don't care, but if I live here, then you need to tell them to be careful. And I took care of it. The other issue in your apartment is like if there is an apartment on your floor that is being renovated, oh my God. The apartment is like a condo, so they have some rules. They say, okay, We're not going to do any kind of work between before 9 a.m. or after 5 p.m. But in that daytime, anything can happen. The drilling or whatever, yes, I have had that to the point where it is disturbing. I just say, okay, I'm going to the mall. I'm going to the mall. Listen, you adjust. I keep trying to tell you, don't expect everything to be perfect in the apartment. You take certain things, you do what you can, and you adjust. Like when we had carnival before, if it was really noisy here, I would just get myself dressed and go to the mall. If they were renovating the apartment right next to mine, it was all day long. I couldn't even record a video. I just took myself out in Boquete around the carnival. I ended up doing a house sit in a beautiful home during carnival, watching a cat because the owners are like, the music doesn't stop. We're going to go on vacation. Even here, people schedule their vacation around a time where they know it's going to be noisy. You adjust this. You do what you need to do, okay? All right, let's go back to choosing the apartment. This is not what I'm talking about today, but the neighborhoods. All right. So, how do you choose where you're going to stay? First of all, when you come, if you came on a scouting trip, now, for the person who asked me about, was it the noise? I think she asked me something. Oh yeah, to want the video about you may not need a scouting trip. Sis, I'm gonna tell you, it doesn't matter where you go, but if you've never set foot in that place and then you pack your suitcases and your dog and your cat and you just drop yourself in a strange place, all I have to say is Godspeed and good luck to you. I would not do that because I'm a planner. I need to know what I'm getting myself into. But if you can just go by the seat of your pants and say, I'm going to figure it out when I get there, more power to you. All right. So when you decide on Panama, however you decide, that's why I tell people, or they have blacks in Thailand and, they have them in Ecuador and Mexico. You got groups of people everywhere. So you join those groups and you watch and you listen and you read and you take notes because you're going to hear people say, oh, that neighborhood this neighborhood that. Yes. And that's why you ask to join all these groups so you can gather information. You are Inspector Gadget. So if somebody say, "Oh, we like this one because it's walkable, people are friendly. You can go to the store. They have clinics. You can go to the doctor, the metro. Write it all down, okay? Because when you've come to decide where you want to be. You could start doing your research when you come to do your temporary, right? That's what I say. If you schedule a visit around your appointment date, give yourself some extra days, either before the appointment and after, so you can do that Inspector Gadget stuff. Hire a driver and say, can you take me around some different neighborhoods and tell me about the neighborhood? The drivers are locals. They know the area. They'll tell you, oh, that one, no. This one, yeah, that's good. Take notes and listen. And again, but if you gun ho about one neighborhood and it doesn't matter what anybody tells you, that's where you're going, you're wasting everybody else's time. Because if you can't take advice, don't ask for it, right? If somebody says, I don't know, some people were harassed or robbed, like they've had a couple of home invasions in the Boquete area. I don't like Boquete for other reasons, safety not being one. And of course, just because they've had two home invasions doesn't mean it's unsafe. I'm not saying that. But be aware and listen to what's happening. The other way you can find out about different neighborhoods, not just by watching, YouTube channels, Facebook groups, listening, is by asking people. Some people would say, "Oh, I see that a lot in the Facebook groups. I am coming to Panama, and I need some advice on the best neighborhood." Listen, I usually don't respond to those things, but more often than not, 20, 30 people are going to respond and give you advice. They are very, very open to sharing. Take notes. So if you ask about neighborhood and then like 10, 15 people say, oh, El Cangrejo, and then you see that a lot more people are talking about 3 or 4 neighborhoods, and then you need to investigate, right? So if they like it so much, then let me find out some more. So when you hire the driver, you say, you know, I've heard some good things about this neighborhood. What can you tell me about it? Can you drive me there? Let's take a look and see. All right? So Facebook groups, WhatsApp groups, usually the WhatsApp groups you have to be here. um, Ask people, right? If you go on a relocation tour, you have like 30 people in your groups. They usually would put you in contact with previous tourists, I guess, and you ask them, where did you move to? How is it going? How do you like it? How long you been there? What do you like about it? Why don't you like about it? And they're very candid and take it to the bank. If they tell you they don't like this, listen, okay? Listen. All right. So get a tour, get a driver. The double decker bus, I think, is more for people who are just visiting. This is not boots on the ground kind of research. Um, Pick a neighborhood based on your personal choices. What's important to you? You could do up to five. These 5 things I must have. In my neighborhood, I need to have access to the metro station. Then you don't want to go to San Francisco. San Francisco doesn't have access to metro. I need to have access to the bus. Like most neighborhood, you're on the bus line. I need to be within 5 minutes of a hospital. That's something that's important to you. I need to have my doctor close by. That's important to you. I want to be able to walk to the store to get food. Although you can take an Uber for cheap, that really shouldn't be a reason for you not to be in the neighborhood because Uber everywhere for like $3, $4. Come on, right? So that's that. The other thing, if you say, I don't like it hot, I want cool weather, well, eliminate David, eliminate Panama City, all right? Because that's why our skin looks so good. We sweat and because there is heat here. I stay in 3 different neighborhoods when I was there. I like Costa del Este, but too far from the city. San Francisco was my favorite, yes. What do you think about San Francisco? I'll talk about it in a second. So you make your tours, you base it on what's important to you. If you like vegetation, you need to be in nature, that's important to you. If being close to a doctor, and listen, you hear me, I'm not saying that should be. I'm saying determine for you what's important to you. And I told you what was important to me, and that's why I'm here. On one of my scouting trips, I took a tour around the country. Panama is not big. Someone says if you rented a car, you could ride from the um, Colombia border all the way to the Costa Rica border. I don't think you could do it in a day. I don't think so because from Panama City to David, that's 7 hours, depending on who's driving. But it's not that big. So you could drive through the country in short amount of time. But are you going to be driving? That's important. If you're going to have a car, then you could live outside the country, the city. And if you go outside the city, what is the bus line? What is transportation like? And I tell people a lot of places you can have buses or you can hire drivers that have been recommended by someone else. Okay? All right, let's go about the neighborhoods. I'm hearing the ambulance. You know, I'm close to hospital, so and I'm a nurse, so that doesn't bother me. Okay, that means somebody is in need, and yes. All can tell you, I'm going to put in the chat the most popular expat enclaves, we could call it, that people stay at in the city. Remember, I am not in the interior. And I started to say that on one of my scouting trips, I decided to map out and go around the country to different areas and stay for a day or two every place. I took the bus at the main terminal here, and then I went to Panama. I went to Pedasi. I went to Las Tablas. I went to Chitre. I went to David. I went to Bocas del Toro. I went to Puerto Almueles, which is right next to the Costa Rica border. And then I turned around. Now, Colon is not a place that most expats would say that's where they want to stay. In fact, I had a sister the other day said, "Oh my gosh, I decided to stay in Cologne. I don't think I made the best choice. I need to move to another hotel." And I was like, "Sis, no one is going to tell you, recommend that if you come on a scouting trip that you stay in Cologne. Cologne is where you have the majority of the Afro-Panamanians. It is riddled with all kinds of issues, poverty, there is gang violence. So if you're a local, that is your home, right? But if you are a visitor, you don't know your way around, and then they're gonna pick you, you have that dull look in your eyes, you don't know what's going on, you're gonna be a target. So I tell people Cologne is a must visit. On a scouting trip, hire a driver, hire a local, and they'll take you around. That's what I did. And they point to different points of interest, and you say, "Oh, they get to eat," and they have the ships docked there. There's a lot to see, but not by yourself because you're gonna stick out like a sore thumb and become a target. All right. So so I did that. I did the tour. I think I was gone for 3 weeks. And then I came back and I said, I'm staying in the city. I did my homework. And then based on what I want, I knew I didn't want to be in any of those places at this time. So I'm going to say not best, but popular communities for expats. Okay? Because everybody has their reason for choosing a neighborhood. And remember, we have younger families. They might be looking for international schools, right? And other things and communities. So their needs are different from what I, as a single older woman, would be looking for, right? So one of them is El Cangrejo, the crab in English. Very popular with expats. We'll talk about that in a minute. San Francisco, somebody mentioned San Francisco, very popular with expats. Balboa Avenue, which is where I am. And then we have Bella Vista, which is another popular area. Then we have Costa del Este. I don't think it's very popular, but it is a very pretty area for some people. It is outside the city. Some other not so popular, but Uncon is very woodsy. People like that. And there is where the Americans stayed during the canal being built. Clayton is another area. They have homes and not just high rises. So Clayton is based on your needs. You may want that. And Panama Pacifico is also outside the city over the bridge. Some people like Panama Pacifico because they don't have a lot of high rise buildings. But it's kind of on its own there, and I don't think I would like it because you have to have a car. Even though they are building a third metro line that's going to have a stop there, so it's going to open in Panama Pacifico. And then there are some other areas inside the city that are not that common for people, but they're a little bit cheaper. So one would be Edison Park. It's like in the middle of the city. You can find an apartment a little bit cheaper. Edison Park, El Dorado, which is Chinatown. In fact, I was looking at an apartment in that general area, and I was like looking at pictures, and I'm like, the kitchen had just been redone. You know, I was salivating. I'm a cook. I'm like, oh my God, the kitchen looks beautiful. But don't get stuck on that alone. So I started reading reviews, and it's like, oh my God, the locals are saying the crime has gotten bad. And I'm like, stop right there. I can't afford to do that. I can't afford to go to a place that I'm reading that there is crime or crime has increased. I'm a single woman. I cannot do that. You got to be smart when you choose your neighborhood, and also not just the neighborhood, but your building. Also, you have to have standards. Do you need to be high or do you need to be low? A lot of people don't like height, and the people who are at the lower level don't move. So you're gonna have a hard time. If you say, "Oh, nothing higher than four," that's gonna be hard. Okay. And if you say, "I need elevators because I have bad knees," that's important. You want to make sure the building has a backup generator for when we have power outages. If you work online and that's important to you, one thing that is important to me and some other sisters, because I talk about it a lot, is the gas explosions that happen here in the buildings in Panama. So it was important to me to have a building that was fully electric, no gas, nothing is powered by gas. So that's important to me. My gosh, is there something going on? More ambulances. And then the other thing too, some buildings also may have a water tank, because the more you go outside the city, the more likely you're going to be affected by power outages and water shortages. Yes, that's just the reality of living in a developing country. And do not go out there and blast the country because you say, oh my God, the internet was up for like 3 hours. I had mine go for like almost a day. I had to figure out something else to do. I'm like, okay, I can read books, I can do this, I can do that. You roll with the punches, sis. Don't be so stuck on amenities, okay? I thought I'd be in Volcan or maybe Bukete, but when I kept seeing pics of the snakes, I thought, Deborah, you like nature. We have iguanas. The iguanas were parading in David the other day on the square. I don't think the iguana will scare me some of the snakes. Yes. And we're seeing more crocodiles in the waters here. I don't know what's happening. They're mating, and yep. Even here we see them in the city. Edison Park, El Dorado, there's another one. Condado del Rey. The last three you may find something a little bit more affordable, like $800, $900. I had a sister who said she was living in a Panamanian neighborhood where she was renting a two-bedroom for $750 a month. I don't know what that is, but I guess it's possible. But remember now that we have so many people coming, the prices are going up. So when a realtor says, "What's your budget?" and you say 750, chances are he's not going to call you. You're going to have to find your own apartment on your own. Do your due diligence and boots on the ground. Okay, Condado del Rey. All right, those are the ones I know in the city. And I'm going to say outside the city, well, we have Panama Pacifico and Costa del Este, but they're still considered part of the city. Okay, but now you have Panama Oeste outside Panama City. Panama Oeste is growing by leaps and bounds. When I was here 3 years ago, they had just bulldozed the road through the mountains to make a highway to connect that part to the city, because so many people were moving there because the rents are cheap. But then you get the infrastructure issue with so many people moving, then blackouts, water shortages, and long wait. The buses don't come on time. People are late for work because it's like an hour from here. But if there's an accident on the highway, you could be stuck there for 3, 4 hours. So that doesn't make it possible. So now they're going to connect the third train line from Panama Oeste, West Panama, to the city. And that's going to open up for a lot of people. All right. So in that, outside of Panama City, I don't know if I can, maybe I need to do another message. You're going to have this like Arahan. Okay, I need to do another, I think I'm limited in how many characters I have. So I'm going to put that one in. And then I'm going to say outside Panama City, West Panama, or Panama Oeste in Espanol. People have discovered little town called Arahan. La Chorrera, and I think there is Vacamonte, and then it's going to take you west. Is it Caprilla? I don't know that I hear that expats stay there. Oh, there's a place called Costa Verde, but it's a little higher end, kind of like Costa del Este, and they have homes and subdivisions like you in the U.S. Not something I wanted because I don't want to live like I did in the US. Costa Verde, meaning the Green Coast. They have international schools, a lot of Asian kids in there. So, people have a bit more money. The same thing as Panama Pacifico, La Chorrera, Costa Verde. I think those are here. Okay? And then if you go outside of Panama City, the interior, some of the popular places would be David, but remember, David is affordable, but it is hot. Boquete, Volcan, and around those areas, they have little towns that are around them, like Dolega and other places. But those are the places that are like in the mountain region and beautiful, beautiful. In fact, when I visited one time Dolega, I said, "Oh, I'm moving to Cerro Punta." Cerro Punta, in that area there, they grow coffee, they do honey, and then those areas are called the bread baskets of Panama. That's where they grow potatoes and beans, and they have cattle and chicken farms. And so I think they say 60 to 70% of the country's food comes from that area, the Chiriquí province, okay? And I said, I went in there, I was in the mountain, I was looking at the Volcan Baru, which is the dormant volcano, and then there was mist in the air, and it was green, and the air was fresh, and I was like, oh, I'm moving here. But on the way back down the mountain, started thinking, I'm like, okay, these homes are not close. There are no subdivisions. There are no buildings. That means I'm going to be renting a little house by myself, single, older, black woman, all by myself out there. Yeah, I can get up and breathe the fresh air. And then someone said, I had posted it, someone said, why would you want to move there? He said, there's so much crime. He said, if you put a mop on on your fence, when you come back, it'll be gone. I was like, no. I had to talk myself right out of it. That's the logical thinking part to say, it's beautiful, but is this the right decision for you? Okay. Other areas expats are going to is Chitre. Chitre is smack in the middle of the country. Rent is cheap, but there's nothing to do there. I remember visiting there, and I'm talking to the cab driver like I always do. I'm like, "What is it? He said, well, Chitre, there's nothing about Chitre. He said 5:30, everybody's at home and the lights go off at 7. I'm okay with that because I'm a homebody, but it gets a little old. I like the fact that I can get out of my building. I can go to the opera. I can go to people go to jazz. People go to salsa dancing. You can have restaurants and all kind of fiestas. And yes, I need that energy. So but if you want to get up every day and just look at the mountain and the nature, you can do that too. Okay, Chitre, Las Tablas, Close. Pedasí is more of a beach community, but people are saying it's nice. There are families there now. Um, and then around the city also, they have Coronado. Remember, Coronado's beach areas. I forgot to put that there. But no hospitals, and you have to have a car, and I don't want to drive, so all these come into play. All right, so I'm going to stop here. But what I want to talk about is the first one: popular communities for expats in the city. El Cangrejo is probably, I think it probably ties with San Francisco in popularity, right? When you come to Panama and you said, Maggie, can you recommend some Airbnbs? I'm probably going to give you 3 or 4 places right there in El Cangrejo. The Crab, it's a very kind of have a bohemian type of atmosphere. It's got sidewalks. And when we say sidewalks in Panama, it's relative. Not all sidewalks are created equal. You may have a nice little stretch here, and then you walk a few hundred feet, and there's none. Okay, you have to always have your wits about you. Don't walk around with your head down because you're going to run into something. But make sure, I tell people, wear comfortable shoes, your walking shoes, tennis shoes, closed toe shoes, and watch where you're stepping. Don't be the tourist and you're taking pictures. Not in Panama City. You're gonna hit something, you're gonna drop it because they have uncovered holes. If you don't pay attention, you're gonna go right in there. People have broken elbows, knees, ankles. Yes. So be careful. But El Cangrejo has decent sidewalk. Not as good as Costa del Este. Where I live on Balboa, we do have under Cinta Costera, which is like a Malecon. If you had a wheelchair, you'd be able to ride that. But if you want to cross the street, you'd have to come over the overpass and go across and come around. And then even then, sometimes they have the drop. It says for handicap, but then you'd have to fight to maneuver that. It's not. It is not handicap friendly country. I'm telling you right now. All right. Now, people who are really older and have mobility issues, they can't walk very well or they're very unsteady. If you're gonna stay in the city, make sure that every time you step out, you're in an Uber. Okay, very important because you don't want to break something or fall. El Cangrejo also has multiple Airbnbs. They have hotels. They have clinics. It's close to the metro. You can walk a few, maybe 2 or 3 blocks. You get the buses. Lots and lots of restaurants. They even have a park where they do a lot of community events. It's a neighborhood for locals as well. We have some sisters who have bought their condos there and very happy. Closer to the main road, it's kind of poppy, but if you go on the other side, it's quieter. I personally have never felt a connection to it. I go to events there. People, we have coffee dates and stuff like that. But I don't know why. It's never talked to me. But that is a very, very popular um, area, and also the major public hospital is not that far from it. And there's another hospital, private hospital nacional, that is not very far. So your doctors, your clinic, your labs, your pharmacies are all there. All right. For that reason, El Cangrejo is probably the number one popular spot for expats. And they have apartments of all sizes. They have just humble studios all the way to 5 star. In fact, I was reading the other day about a family of, is it three couples? They are into a luxury building and they rented the whole floor. And they have their own separate areas and they say it's working out beautifully for them. You get views of the city, not necessarily the water, you're not close to the water, but beautiful city views. And if you want an apartment with a small balcony, you can get it. All right. I'm gonna do some neighborhood tours, walking tours, where you could see what it looks like. Rent, oof, I'd say anywhere from a. I think I was looking one time; it was like 950, but now with the price increase, it could be maybe 1,000 up to 3,000, depending on what you're looking for and what you want. Square footage, amenities. All right, that's El Cangrejo. So you can put that on your list to visit. And I hope you know about the real estate website. You can do some research for yourself, even from stateside, because they have good pictures of the layout of the apartment, so you can see what the kitchen looks like, the bathroom, and the living room. Just kind of give you an idea. And remember, all apartments here in Panama are not in square footage; they are in square meters. So make sure you do your conversion on your phone to see, like maybe 50 square meters is really small, right? But if they say 80 to 100, that's kind of comfortable. And then for you as a retiree, I have a two-bedroom, but every day I'm like, why do I have a two-bedroom? It's just sitting there. I've had some visitors, but I could have put them in an Airbnb not too far from here. So, you don't need two-bedroom. You could reduce your expenses and get a one-bedroom. So the estate real estate website is www.encuentra24.com. So you can start doing some research based on your parameters on that website. And then when you come, you can call the agent that is listed at the bottom. You WhatsApp them and say, can we go take a look at these apartments? Okay. So we talk about El Cangrejo, San Francisco. San Francisco is very popular. It's kind of an older community. The homes are like older, right? And you do have some high rises, but you also have some homes. In fact, there's a sister the other day who came to an event here, and she said she's buying a property there and it's being renovated. Some expats are buying property, and I know one sister they say owns an Airbnb, so people are doing business here as well. Um, San Francisco is considered a foodie town, lots of restaurants. In fact, there is a restaurant called Almeida. I think it's Spanish because, heavy Spanish influence, where they do a lot of flamenco dancing on Friday. I like that, so I'm probably going to make a trip there. And then they have a black rice that they make, like a paella that is divine. So I'm going to find, I don't know if they make it at that restaurant. All right. So San Francisco, lots of bus stops. Wherever you are, bus stops, but no metro line, none whatsoever. Okay. So Uber is your friend, buses, but the line is real busy with workers who work in hotels and stuff. So rush hours, I tell people, stay off the buses. If you take the metro, it's gonna be packed. Maybe wear your mask, you'll be fine. Okay. So no metro line in San Francisco. Some apartments have a ocean view, not all. Some apartments have ocean and city views. And I don't know what anybody has told you. Panama City skyline at night, it is absolutely beautiful, where everything is lit up and then it's night, it's dark, and you're looking at wonderful, lovely, lovely. I don't have a city view. I have a small city view, but I mostly have water. But I'm not complaining. Trust me, I love my water view. But some apartments do have both. And a good friend of mine, she's in one. She said, "I'm going to die here," because she said, "I need a water view." All right. Um, Foodie town, very kind of old. The sidewalks are not that good. Always look where you're stepping, okay? Hospitals are not too far out. Clinics, plenty. Food stores. I think they have one fruteria, which is like a place where you can buy lots of fresh fruit, vegetable, fresh eggs, honey, and stuff like that. They do have that. Lots of expats love San Francisco, and they also have some Airbnbs there for people to stay. And one of the major malls is in San Francisco, Multi Plaza Mall, which is a little bit of a higher end mall. So San Francisco scores, okay? The next one is Balboa. I said Balboa. It's Balboa Avenue, which is where I am. It is on the southern end of the city. It is a city, I think someone said they had dug and made it. I forgot the history, but it is a very popular road. It is like 6 lane roads with a nice median, lots of high rise buildings. Most, if not all, the buildings have an ocean view. Um, you may pay a little bit now, the rents are going up. Most of the buildings are like co-ops. They're owned by individuals, and a lot of the individuals are out of town. In Spain and Venezuela and Colombia, Canada. In my building, I meet a lot of French Canadians here. Um, but I like my building. The people are nice. They keep it clean, and I have no issues. And my landlord lives in my building, so she's very accessible. She's not, you know, out of the country. What's good about Balboa? Because it's kind of a middle of the road to, yeah, I don't want to say higher end, but you're not going to find trash and stuff on Balboa Avenue. You always have police presence. And the police in Panama, it's not like, you don't see them unless there's an emergency. They're just sitting there, standing around the corners, milling around. That's the way they do it here. Okay? So if you come around and you see two or three of them standing together, don't be scared. They don't bother you. In fact, if you look close, they're going to say, "Do you need help? This is how you do that." They're going to help you. So they're always milling around. Because we have 6 lane, we have overpasses to go from one side to the other. They do not recommend you take a dash across. You can get hit, and they get upset when they see that. Let's see. So it's clean. We have businesses here. We have high rises, and then we close to Casco Viejo. Casco Viejo is the old city. This is the second most visited area of Panama City besides the canal. So there's a lot of traffic that goes back and forth. Could be noisy at times depending on what's going on, but I don't mind it at all. I like the fact that I can get down and just take a bus, take a Uber, take a metro, and go wherever I need to go. And I'm never too far from any place that I want to go. 15, 20 minutes tops. Okay. Food stores are a little bit tricky because I can go to the San Felipe market and I can get vegetables, fruit, but it's not like a full supermarket. Then you have to either take a bus or Uber to go to the closest food market that might be 15 minutes away. All right. What else do I like about Balboa? Access. The sidewalks are like, eh, okay. Hospital, very close. Clinics, yes. And I like my building because I'm all electric. I don't know, you have to ask that if that's important to you. So, metro, buses, access, cleanliness, all those things are good. Good points, right? All right. Bella Vista. Oh my God, I make a lot of mistakes. Bella Vista. Bella, meaning the beautiful view. Bella Vista it borders Balboa, but it's more of a concentrated neighborhood. In fact, somebody told me it was like not overbuilt, but it's thick with people. Several university in that area, close to buses, metro. Food stores are really close. So we have two major food stores in Bella Vista. You have I always say Ruby Smith, Reba Smith, and El Rey. They're both within walking distance here in Bella Vista. Lots of high-rise buildings, city views, some with water views. All right. And I think the rents run the same about with Balboa. Balboa now is about maybe $13 to $2,000 a month you're gonna get for a two-bedroom. But they do always have apartments for sale if you're interested in buying. And we looked at a pre-sale, and it was like, no, you want $300,000 for an apartment? We're not doing that. Not at this age. I don't want to do it. Do they have studio apartments for less cleaning? In El Congrejo, they definitely have studio apartments. In a place where I am in this side, I think there's one building called the Sands where they have studio apartments. But for me, that would never work. I'm a cook. I need a full kitchen. Um, a lot of the sisters have housekeepers here. They're paying them like $30 a day to clean their apartments. They're there for hours. I don't have one, but they're accessible to you. All right. And you can have a housekeeper once a week or you can have it once a month. It's up to you. And they pass them around. Everybody said, mine has an opening. Anybody wants it? People talk. And if they like the housekeeper, they're going to try to keep them busy. Right. And some of them do nails, all kinds of stuff. Listen, people get hooked up here. So that was Bella Vista. Costa del Este. Costa del Este is one of the newer planned communities. So because it was planned, they have high-rise building, water views, and beautiful large sidewalks. So this is the community that people with mobility issues tend to gravitate to. But you have to go over the water, over a bridge, Abroad-SWRA, to get to it. So it's kind of outside, a little bit outside the city. I'm talking about 20 minutes on the bus. It's not that far. But once you get in there, it feels different. Some people call it the Miami Beach of Panama. A lot of international companies are headquarters there. So when you go there, you see more people in suits and office outfit. Whereas where I am in other places, more relaxed and casual. Okay, so lots of restaurants, lots of activities. Actually, it borders a community that is not what is it? It's where is it? It borders another community that is not that high end. So, well, you know what? It depends on um, the builders and the money they poured into it. In fact, there's a building. Somebody said, Jewish people are pretty visible here, and they hold a lot of financial power. That one of them created a high rise for his family, so they all live in that building. So money talks. So, and again, for me, no, there are a few buses, no metro line in Costa del Este. And I don't think there is any plan for that because, the rich people probably don't want metro stops in their communities. There's a sister who goes over there. I'm like, who? I said, I smell the money. I'm like, too high end for me. I need to be more with the people. That's me because I know how far my money can go. I'm not paying $3,200 for rent. Mm-mm. There's a sister who was talking one time. She's like, "Well, I have a 7,200 square foot building." I'm like, "Woo, that's a lot of place, a lot of square footage to clean and dust and worry about mold and stuff." No bueno, not for me. I don't need all that. No, ma'am. So that is Costa del Este. Lots of restaurants. There is a major hospital. The largest, not largest, the most prominent hospital, private, in the city is Pacifica Salud, and they have a campus in Costa del Este. All right, so swanky. I was there, clean, and yeah. So no metro line. Buses, yes, you might have to walk to get to the bus for a little bit. I did have to do that because they go like down the major road. They don't go in the little side road like they do in other communities. Let's see. Yeah, prices are definitely higher in Costa compared to the city proper. All right. Ancon is in an area that is very woodsy, close to Albrook Mall area. So they have a lot of vegetation. It's green. It's cool, a bit cooler. But you kind of sort of have to have a car. And some of the homes are like on a hill and very private, private roads. So if you are a senior and you don't own a car, you're gonna feel isolated because to get to anything, you have to come down or order Uber for everywhere, and I don't want that. So if that's what you want, but you want the tranquility, very tranquil, birds chirping and all that, people love that. Okay, so that's Encon, and then next to Encon is Clayton. Clayton was a community where, like I said, people who used to work with the canal had a little money. That's where they congregated. Of course, real estate. Um, it's calm. They have a lot of homes there. One of our sisters rented a home there, with yard and grass. It reminds you of home. That's what you want. They have some buses, but they're not as frequent or varied. You might have to wait sometime 30 minutes for the bus to come because it's like one bus uh, running around. I don't have any idea how much what the costs are for renting the home, but I would think if you get a home that has like 3 bedroom, 3 bath, I'm sure you're gonna pay for it. Okay. I personally don't want that. I don't want to live in a subdivision where I did that. My home over there, that's the way it is, and I didn't want that. So know what you want. If you have a dog, you may want a house with a yard, right? Let's see, Clayton. Panama Pacifico is on the opposite side over the American Bridge of America. And I think when I was on the bus, I think 15, 20 minutes, we were in Panama Pacifico. Disclaimer, I have not been to Panama Pacifico, but I know some sisters who live there. It's a little bit off the city, and if you're looking for buildings that have like up to 4 or 5 floors where you like to be lower, that might be a place that attracts you. And they have younger families there, international school, they have Reba Smith, they have stores. But to me, it's like kind of boring. I don't need that. I don't want that. But some people, that's where they're at. One sister used to live in San Francisco, and I don't know if the price was better for her. That was years ago, so she moved there. But one day I heard her say, I like it here. It's very tranquil, but I miss the access to things in the city. Decisions, right, sis? No bus lines. When the third metro line is finished, sometime in 2026, maybe. I thought they said early 2026, but it's nowhere near ready, so it could even be next year. They will have a stop in Panama Pacifico, which is going to make it easier for people to go shop in the city and come to like concerts and stuff. Okay? But when you get off the train, you may still have to get a taxi or Uber. And Uber in Panama is plentiful in the city. I have David is the second largest city in Panama. I have gotten Ubers in David, but the rest of the country, you rely on taxis. And if you've heard me, I'm not a taxi person, I'm kind of leery in the city, but I have taken them when I've traveled throughout the country and I've felt safe. I haven't felt unsafe with the taxis. But of course, having a driver that somebody refers you to, because those are usually taxi drivers, but they'll come and take you places if you book them ahead. All right. Edison Park in the middle of the city, apartments a little bit less, but may not have all the amenities. They'll have elevators, but always look for 24-hour security if you're an older person. But if you're in the interior, there's no security except that chain link fence. But it's funny when you see some, and in this in the communities inside the country, you're gonna have smaller homes, right? With smaller rooms, smaller kitchens, smaller bathroom. You live like the local. That's the way it is. They don't have open concepts in those homes, like. But the newer communities like Santa Maria, Costa del Este, they have the open concept, and of course pricier, right? Okay. So when you go to El Dorado, and I told you about El Dorado, you may find an apartment about $100 less, but do you want to chance the other issues that may happen with those? And there is Pueblo Nuevo also in those areas, which is where they tell me a lot of the canal workers used to live. Pueblo Nuevo, new people. Condado del Rey, it's the same thing. Someone told me Condado del Rey, they have a lot of immigrants in those areas, but they from South America. So you're gonna find a lot of Colombia, from Nicaragua, and other places in that particular area. Not necessarily the expats I'm talking about. All right. I mean, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind as long as the rent is affordable and they have all the other stuff that I need. But I doubt that it would be all electric. I doubt it. I doubt it. All right. And then you go to Panama Oeste, Arajan, La Chorrera, simple homes, some communities gated, less price, cheaper, but may have other issues. They do have some busing, but mostly taxis to get around. Um, Except that Costa, oh my God, I just have so many typos in here. Costa Verde, the Green Coast, like I said, it's more of a little bit higher end community with younger families, international school, homes, and subdivisions. So that's what I have for you guys. Any questions? So do your homework when you consider in Panama, and listen to what people tell you, and then look at your budget, look at what's important to you, start doing some research on your own, and when you come with information to say, I would like to go here and there and see. Get off the car, walk around, get a feel, see if you get a connection with the place. That is important to me. Okay? Don't get the first apartment and then say, oh, I want that one. Why do you want it? And listen to what people tell you. If somebody is living there, I'm like, hey, you live here? How long you live here? What do you like about this place? Why don't you like about it? I ask. Okay? And I've been here 3 years. And I'm happy here. Questions, ladies and gents? Thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. Yes, we sweat, Greta. Sweating gets rid of, unclogs your pores and it gets rid of impurities. Yes. I'll make you laugh. All right. I don't see any questions. Have you all left? She'll quarantine with her little dogs for the 40 days. Yeah. What I did not like about David and some of these homes in the interior is that the homes have no foundation. They are like flat on the ground. And I watch the news every day. I see what happens when it rains. Water gets inside those homes. I mean, water, they have, things get wet, their furniture gets messed up. You should see in Boquete, it's like the river, there's already a river going down the middle of the city. But then, I mean, the force of the water was like, OMG. Bridges collapsing and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, where is the foundation? You're welcome, Antoinette. What the house is not even sitting on anything. It's flat on the ground. I remember the first time I was going to David and I'm like, what is this not right? You have a rainy season. Where does the water go? No bueno. Mm-mm. You're welcome, Maria. Thank you. My pleasure. It's a lot of information, isn't it? Yes. But remember, I wanted to give you, I kind of laid some things in before we got started, but it was for you to decide what's important to you in each neighborhood because, the people that we know, you can say, where do you live? They'll say, oh, San Francisco. Or there's another one called Marbella, which is like in the middle of the city. Marbella, San Francisco, Bella Vista, not Ancon, Balboa Avenue, right? And I don't even know anybody. I met one lady who lived in Edison Park. I don't know anybody in Condado del Rey. I don't know anybody who lives in El Dorado. Most of us stay in those general El Cangrejo, Balboa, Bella Vista, San Francisco, and some in Costa del Este. Oh, there's another neighborhood called Punta Pacifica. Oh, how did I forget that? Punta Pacifica, Pacific Point, and Punta Paitilla. These are not too. Oh, I thought I was typing. Punta Pacifica, Punta Paitilla. I think it's Paitilla. I don't know if it's a Punta. Paitilla. Those are Jewish communities, but they have expats in them too. A bit higher end. Prices tend to be a little higher than where I'm at in San Francisco, but they also have water views, although not all with vast expensive views, but you can see the water and everything is like, condensed in that area there. So that's another one, another community that you're gonna find some expats at. Yeah, the one in Boquete, yeah. I mean, the water can be fierce, but unless you're in Alto Boquete, Alto means high, then you don't have to worry about the water, the slides and the water because you're high. But the average person cannot afford those homes, right? So you are in those little individual homes, and then when the water comes, it washes everything down. That's a no bueno. I look forward to any walking tours you might do or some of those. Yes, I'm gonna hire my driver and it's gonna take me around. And because he is here, that he can really give you a lot of information. And also, he's from Cologne, so he might. When I went to Cologne the first time, I saw the projects that look like the projects, where they say a lot of the gangs are. And then I saw another community that was guarded with a guard and everything. And I said, well, who lives there? He said a lot of the Asian, Middle Eastern people live there. And I'm like, where do the regular folks live? Right? So you got that to contend with. But he can give a good story about Cologne and what happened there. Muchas gracias, Miss Maggie, for the gems. You're quite welcome. I feel more confident and less anxiety. Yes, yes. I mean, a certain amount of anxiety is expected, sis. You're not going to get rid of that. But the more information you come, like you got your notebook and you organize yourself and you write your information, some of the rest of the stuff you're just going to have to go and learn as you go. That's just the way it is, right? Yeah. All right, guys. You are hoping to arrive in March. Oh, you're almost here then. Yeah. Good. You're welcome, Julie. My pleasure. All right, I need some ideas of what to cook tomorrow. I have some stuff in the house, but no protein, so I'm gonna have to go to the fish market and the meat market tomorrow before the live. Whew. No coffee today, so I should be able to go to sleep at a reasonable amount of time and wake up at 6. Go to the store and come back 8:30. So I'm missing my walk. All right. It's hour and 49 minutes we've been talking, so that's a good amount of time. Thank you for listening. Remember, I appreciate you guys, current subscribers, new subscribers. Share the channel with everybody that you know. We need to increase our subscriber count, our views. Remember, when you're watching a video, leave it on. Don't just watch 1 minute and click off, because that doesn't help us at all. And those of us who spend time giving you information, uploading videos, people have no idea how much work goes into this YouTube thing, right? They think, oh, she just chit-chatting on YouTube. No. Cream of rice soup, cream of mushroom soup. Cream. I have some cream I don't have mushrooms. And I'm not gonna find mushroom tomorrow where I'm going, because I'm going to the farmer's market. Farmers market, you get Panamanian stuff. Ongos is not something the average Panamanian uses, which is ongos is what they call mushrooms. Cream of rice? I have rice. I have cream. You bought salmon? Good. Where? At River Smith or Price Mart? Yes. Cologne is, but they are trying so hard. There is something coming up next weekend called Sabores de Cologne. They're trying to market Cologne for its um, gastronomy, because the cuisine is eclectic. You have Asian, you have Spanish, you have Caribbean, and they do a lot. You're welcome, Antoinette. They do a lot of different types of food. The only common denominator in the food is like none of it is healthy. Oh my God. They fry everything and they supersize everything. And that is why Cologne has the highest rate of hypertension, highest rate of diabetes, and everything that comes with that. So when I look at them and they're like, have you got that big old chicharron? And I'm like, okay, how much, how often do you eat that? That's a no bueno. Everything is supersized, everything is fried, and it's not healthy at all. But you know how we say, that's our culture. Let's not hide behind that as we get older and we're just killing ourselves with that food. No bueno. Adios, chicas. Gracias. New York. Wow. Oh, okay. All right. Cream of vegetable soup. Ooh. I've done vegetable with marinara, not with cream in it. But you know that cream, Julie, I don't have any coconut milk today. I used my last coconut milk I did a curry this week with chickpeas. I used my last coconut milk. But I have a real coconut here. I bought two. And I pierce it, get the water, and then eat the pulp. I love that. All right, ladies, you quite welcome. You quite welcome. Hey, I didn't know you were watching, Crystal. I didn't see you. Well, you can talk about it too. You just did the whole thing with your dog, so you're an expert. All right, ladies. Any other suggestion for the live tomorrow? Let me know, and I can try to whip something up with what I have. Okay. I can get meat, I can get fish, and then I can get basic vegetables. I haven't had eggplant in a while. I love eggplant. Yesterday I had my first cooking class and it was a success. We made a roast and it came out so good and juicy and yummy. And then we put some potatoes, with the chicken, so all that flavor got into the potatoes. Then I made a beautiful pot of mixed vegetables with green peas, broccoli. We even add chayote in there, no carrots, but all the peppers. It was so good. So I showed the ladies how to use herb to season their food and not Maggie. I know I'm Maggie, but do not do that. That's a pet peeve, major. Season your food naturally, right? Okay, lemon juice, garlic, herbs. This is what you need. All right? All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Remember, you can be a member so you can exercise with us on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And some of my videos, I let you see them first before they're released to the public. Thank you for sharing the information, your knowledge experience. My pleasure. All right, guys. Au revoir. Have a good night. I'm just going to chill. I've been talking a lot, teaching and then this. So, Saturday afternoon, I just chill. That's why I said, don't invite me anywhere on Saturday night. I can't do anything. Plus, I feel like I'm ready to go to sleep right now. Peace and blessing. I don't know what DST is. Bye, Maria. Hasta luego. I like that. Adios, chicas. I like that. All right. I'm going to close the chat and I will see you guys next week. If you have a burning topic, let me know. I'll address it if it has to do with Panama. I'm gonna try to do a couple of lives. We're going to compare Panama and Mexico, Panama and Ecuador. Ooh, that's gonna be nice. But the time of the day is gonna be in the middle of the day, unfortunately. All right. So I will see you ladies next time. God bless. Bye.